Motivation. Insight. Yeah.
And action. Welcome to another episode of I Am the Change podcast, brought to you by Dreams to Reality Incorporated, a nonprofit organization geared toward uplifting, inspiring, and empowering communities all over the world. I'm your host, Michael Davis, alongside Sharice Lovett and Mr. Jason Redmond.
Hello.
How's everybody doing today?
Hey, another day in the neighborhood.
Hey, man.
Yeah, y'all enjoying your week?
Yes, sir.
It's good so far.
Yes,
Good?
yes.
That's what's up.
So look, I went back in my bag of tricks. I've been waiting to get this guy on since we started. I met this guy in 1991 on the campus of Knoxville College. So this is the story that I'm gonna say it my way. He gonna tell you something different. So my father's a member of my fraternity. I'm a member of my father's fraternity. He's older than I am. And I was driving his truck and he had his frat tags on the front of the truck and I didn't think nothing of it at the time. And I'm on a college campus, you know, I'm an incoming sophomore. I'm new to college. I don't think nothing of it. I'm driving around my dad's truck. I'm pulling onto the campus. I had to turn around for something. And this guy hollered, "Hey man, hey." And I'm like, I roll the window down. "What's up, man? How you doing?" "Hey man, where you from?" I'm like, "I'm Houston, Texas, man." "Oh, word?" "Yeah. You got any friends around here?" I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm new here, man. I don't know nobody, man. You want to be my friend?" "All right." I thought the guy was kind of nice, man. Like, yeah, this guy's kind of nice. And he was like, "Hey man, whose truck you driving?" I'm like, "That's my dad's truck, man. It's my dad's truck." Oh, okay. And he just takes off. I was like, it's mighty rude. Mighty rude of him. Long story short, that was Leonard Adams. So I was like, man, it's a nice, awful friendly guy. So when I got the chance, I saw him again on campus. Like, "Hey man, I was talking to you because the tags on the truck, I thought you owned that truck." I was like, "Oh no, it's my dad's truck. You still with my friend?" Yeah, it wasn't conversation. He probably thought I was a little goofy ass freshman, but I was like, I thought that you wanted to be my friend, man. I didn't know. Who knew? So yeah, it's my guy though. It's my guy. So I've been trying to get him on for years, man. He man, when you say a real entrepreneur, we talk about getting it out the mud, talking about just forming it out of nothing. Like, man, I watched him start his companies, and I say companies because like it was a couple, and so I got a chance to watch him do it, and I was like, man, I've always like watched him, and like I don't want to use the word idolize because I don't want to make it seem like, you know, like I hold his face on my mantle, but like dude did some amazing stuff for a lot of people, and he did it his way, and I'm gonna let him tell you the story. But so, Leonard, Mr. Adams, go ahead.
Well, thank you there, Jason Redmond, and thank you for having me on the I Am the Change podcast. This is very awesome. As Jason talked about, you know, being or idolizing or really just being a friend. You know, I've watched him over the years as well, and this podcast, you know, it wasn't around when we were in college. Something to the liking of it was, but if you put his style and the way that he talks and the way he wants to converse with people, this is a great platform for Jason. So to see him with you all today, you know, just makes me say I knew he would find his way to something that plays towards his strength. And this definitely is a platform, a new platform that's out there in my eyes that really give people who are not really journalists in a sense, or traditional journalists or reporters, a way to just have people on like me today and just have a conversation. And it's very impactful to the end listener who's not really wanting to pay attention to that news that was on the news that we grew up with. So again, Michael and Sharice, thank you for allowing me to be here today. And I'm ready to dive in with you guys.
So thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We don't usually get an intro like that, man.
No, that was nice.
Yeah.
Real nice.
Yeah, we're going to send you a donation, brother. Man. Yeah. So hey, so Mr. Adams, Leonard, Tell them where you're from, man. Tell the folks out there in TV land a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, a little bit about me. That I like to reflect now that I'm older at 51 and just had a baby boy, my first child at 51. He's 7 months old. Now I can kind of thank you so much. I can think back to kind of like why I am who I am today. So I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and people may say this guy is an entrepreneur or a serial entrepreneur. I consider myself now a what I call a social entrepreneur. I've just figured out a way to be impactful with the type of businesses that I create and start or develop. And I'm after change, and so I'm glad that this is the I Am Change podcast, because that's exactly what some of us out here are trying to do. And there's nothing against people who just work and make a living for themselves. But there are some people and some companies that are really out here, as Jason said, in the mud trying to make a change. So coming out of Detroit, Michigan, I have roots out of Gary, Indiana. And I, typical, young boy, went to school, played sports and, did what little boys did. But I also had a entrepreneurship spirit, I would say, as a young boy. I would cut grass, I would shovel snow, I had a paper route, and I had to figure out how to get money. I wanted money, but at that age, I really didn't know really what I wanted money for. I just knew I needed some money. And how you might hear some kids say, well, I had to help out moms or this or that. I don't think I was really doing it to help out moms. I wasn't buying my own clothes and stuff at this time. So I don't really know what was driving me. But when I look back now as an adult, my parents had entrepreneurship spirit as well. So as I navigated through, childhood kind of businesses, some of the things stuck with me. I remember clearly shoveling the snow in Detroit. I used to get up really early, and I always would just carry my shovel. I would put plastic grocery bags over my shoes and in my socks, and then put them into my boots. And didn't know that that would make my feet sweat even more, and my feet would be even colder. But I'm thinking I'm out here for all day, sun up to sundown. But two things stuck out with me on shoveling snow. One was I used to shovel the walkway and the driveway, and I only had one shovel. And after a while, I kept saying, man, I need that bigger shovel to do the driveways, because it just takes me too long to shovel someone's driveway. And my friends or these other guys I see, they got the big shovel, they're going on to the next house. So I recognized I needed to have the tools of the trade to kind of do a good job. And then one of them, I had a paper route, and I was delivering papers, and I caught myself being more efficient. My mom bought me a bike, and I got a pack that I could put over my shoulders and just ride down the street and throw the papers like you see on TV, right? Nah, it don't work like that, right? That's on TV. About the second house I got to, I threw the paper, and it hit the lady's screen door and dented her, the bottom piece of plexi metal or whatever it was, dented in. She ran outside, and she was a deaf woman, and she was, in a sense, screaming at me, but she was mute as well. So she was doing her thing, but I couldn't hear anything, but I could tell this lady was really upset with me, so on and so forth. So my upbringing made me understand I needed to go back to that lady and kind of apologize, and don't throw her paper at her door like that. So later on in life, I was able to keep some of those behaviors that I learned as a child, to say, one, customer service is big. You're going to have to do what you say you're going to do and treat your customers right. But then also make sure you have the right tools to do whatever you're trying to do. You need the tools to do that.
So when you were doing your introduction, you mentioned being a serial entrepreneur. What is your definition of a serial entrepreneur? I've never heard of the term. I like it though.
Okay, well, a serial entrepreneur, in my definition, high level on this call, is just an entrepreneur that starts multiple businesses. that have been through the ups and downs of failing at business, being successful at business, and still, trying to do more. So the serial part or the social part of there was that I started, in college, as Jason, we dabbled in different promotion type of businesses of bringing acts to college campuses, and the old Sean Puffy Combs, bring a rapper or a songstress to the campus and have a party. We learned that we did a boat ride with our fraternity. We packed out a 500 passenger boat, and at 19, 20 years old. So we were kind of doing it. But after school, my family started an employment agency. And me being who I was, I didn't really want to come work at it, which I should have been gung-ho and studied to make sure I could run this company. But me, I want to do my own thing. But I wanted to do exactly what my parents were doing. I just didn't want the oversight. So I started the same company in Knoxville and ran it for a few years. And then as the business plan morphed, it called me back to Atlanta to be with my parents to run the business here in Atlanta. And we did that from 96 to 90, from 2000. Mm-hmm. In between that time, I was buying properties, calling myself getting into real estate. I owned a wine and package store for a period of time as well. So that's the serial, Sharice, is multiple companies, just trying to be out here and, doing things for yourself.
And how did you end up in Knoxville? So since I've met Jason, I've heard so much about his college. Like, he is a proud alumni. Yes. And so how did you end up at Knoxville?
Oh man, I am glad you asked me that, because I need to come up with the best answer in the next 30 days as the newly appointed interim president of Knoxville College. I have a story that is—
Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have a story very similar in the excitement of Jason Redmond. But just imagine 30 years later, not only did I show up as a, bushy-eyed, freshman, 30 years later, I'm the president of this institution. But I got there, honestly, I was playing sports in Detroit. And honestly, I have a best friend that went to school with me, that was raised with me like a brother, older brother, because he's a few months older than me. But we played the same sports, and believe it or not, I missed a particular game. It was a all-star game of the seniors, and I missed that game. And just so happens Knoxville College had a person that was scouting some people there, and they liked him. And believe it or not, and he hears me tell this story, but I was the captain on the team. He was the co-captain, and in a sense, I'm not saying I was better than him, but if you put it on paper, I was kind of a little bit better.
Played in the outfield, right?
Yeah, played in the outfield.
Don't nothing fall in the outfield but the rain.
Yeah, nothing drop out there but the rain, Michael. So you put me out there, I'm gonna go get it. And believe it or not, I called Knoxville College and I was like, I want to talk to the baseball coach. I'm like, hey, you gave my friend a scholarship. Because that day he didn't give it to him, but later on, right before we were getting ready to graduate, he announced and had this letter from Knoxville College and said he had a scholarship, and he also had some Pell Grant in there. And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go too, right? And I called Knoxville College. Luckily, Knoxville College was one of those schools those black colleges that wrap their hands around that person who calls on the phone. That person said, you know what? I'm going to get you in contact with the coach, but I need you to fill out this paperwork. And Knoxville College had me filling out the paperwork. I was filling it out. And before school started, it was after graduation that I was able to get that same package that my friend had. And we called it a scholarship because we didn't have to come out of any money. Knoxville College just layered a lot of different financings and subsidies on top of one another, as long as you met the requirement. And next thing you know, we were piling up. Our mothers knew each other. Again, we were raised as little brothers, really. We loaded up the truck and moved to Beverly, right? So that's the story.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
So I see why Jason is really how he talks about it. I mean, I'm the same way. We complained, Sharice, that first semester, that first couple of weeks, we walked in, it was red clay. We're from big city boys. We walked in the South. We're like, what is this clay? What is this rain? The kids were looking at us because we had on silk shirts, you know, and Guess jeans with snakeskin belts. I mean, we was giving it to them, Michael. And those kids were like, it's 90, it's 100 degrees down here with a silk shirt on with snakeskin on the back, you know. So we were going to leave, but we said, let's stay the first semester. And that's all it took, Michael. One day at the Towers, and Knoxville College had a weekend before school starts for the freshmen, and you meet up at the Towers where all the girls are. And I mean, it was something to see. It was just amazing. And after that, but you did have some guys that came and said, mother said, I'm not leaving my child in this, you know, no air condition, you know, a couple little roaches here and there. I mean, just to be honest with you, community bathrooms. But for those who stayed, after the first semester, you saw some people drop off after Thanksgiving and Christmas. And if you came back fall, you was in it for the long haul. And I never went home again after that. I actually joined the military and got sent off to the war and did my time there in the military and came back and finished up at Knoxville College about a 0.5 year behind my class. So a semester behind. So I had to go to summer school multiple times to try to catch up. But I didn't catch them. But but it was one of them days that you just spent, and it really molded me into the person that I am. And haven't missed a homecoming since I graduated, except one, and don't plan on missing any anyway.
No, because them homecomings is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't even have a team, or we don't have a game. We don't have anything. We don't even have any students on campus, and 1,000 people will come from around the world just to kind of mingle and participate in trying to raise funds for the school, really just to see one another. It's a camaraderie there, Sharice, that's just like none other. You guys have heard it. Black colleges are just totally different.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just, it creates brothers and sisters. Because it has that family atmosphere. You have these instructors that are like aunties and uncles, and they don't play. You know, you get there, it's pull you by your ear and say, come on. You don't get lost on the campus. Even though we had maybe 1,500 kids, you couldn't get lost. They knew you by your nickname at school. They knew what fraternities you were in. I mean, it was just like that. You come in this class, and if the teacher is your fraternity brother, you kind of like doing your sign to him and he doing it back. He's like, let's go, what's up?
Yeah.
That's
what's up. Yeah,
that's what's up.
Hey, look.
Go ahead, Jason.
No. Y'all say I interrupt, so go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. You sure?
Look, I'll jump in if y'all don't want to go. Well, when Sharice asked you about being a serial entrepreneur, you mentioned the ups and downs about business, and I just want you to tell us a little bit about the process, because I think, like, especially after the pandemic, a lot of people got into, like, they started their own businesses because they kind of figured out that traditional employment there was no longevity in it if something like this were to happen. But a lot of people don't stick with it. They start businesses and kind of fall off. So just tell us about the process and how you kept going through, like, all the challenges and ups and downs you might have faced in business.
Yeah, Michael, I could tell you a little bit about the challenges of business. One, I have a saying that I picked up from an unknown writer that says, it may be difficult, but it's possible, right? Right off the bat, it's an opportunity. Opportunities don't go away. They just go to someone else. So when you recognize that opportunity, and that's me, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but when you recognize what you're doing, you say, that's me. And when you find that, which is your purpose, right, then you just lock in, and it may be some dark days. I had my car repoed and my lights cut off, but I wasn't stopping. I wasn't about to throw it in and say, let me just go find a job. I hadn't worked for a corporation since I was in college doing an intern. So I don't know the corporate life. I don't know how to go to, quote unquote, a 9 to 5 in a sense. I do like a 9 to 9. That's my style. But the ups and downs you mentioned about the pandemic has created opportunities. It has some devastation as well, but it's created some opportunities for people to do their own thing. I always say, if you just don't chase the money, you're doing this because you need money, but it can't be your only focus. If you're just in it because I want to make all this money, then I haven't seen that be continue to be a driver for me. For me, it has to be the need, the product that you're offering. You're trying to perfect that, and if you make that or perfect it as much as you can, the money will come. So right now I'm in the nonprofit space. So the last 20 years I've been developing affordable housing and running a community development corporation that specializes in building resilient communities by using affordable housing as the flagship tool, but also wraparound services and integrated services for vulnerable populations and people, right? So I am about seeing the change in community and in our people. And if I could make that better and better, and I could sell that, then people are going to pay for us to do this in these underserved communities. That's just how I think about it. But it's rough out there. Last but not least, Michael, I used to know everything about the organization from the ground up because I started there, right? But you got to shift as well. A lot of people I hear right here, I want to be the boss, right? I'll tell you the honest truth. Sometimes when I hear that, it makes my skin curl, because when I look at them and I hear them say it, I don't think they're really understanding the process, as you said. Just to be the boss, if you're going corporate America and you got the tools in your toolbox and you're credentialed, then yeah, you can apply for that quote unquote executive leadership because you've gotten all the tools to do it. But if you're starting your own company, yeah, you could be the boss, but you got to do quote unquote what the janitor does in the beginning until you can kind of get your stuff going. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs just want to be on that level already of, I can buy cars and houses and tell people what to do. When they get smacked around, as you said, Mike, they get out here and they start these companies, and next thing you know, under a year, they're closing their doors because they wanted to be quote unquote the boss. So yeah, it's hard, but it's sweet once you lock in on your purpose, and then when the money starts to come in, and you get the money, you know how to understand that it wasn't about the money, right? And you don't mismanage the money or let the money lead you to chasing money versus the need. So as long as Black communities are in the condition that they're in, I'm chasing to make change in those communities. I'm switching I'm splitting my time and trying to make sure that historical Black colleges don't get into these positions again, that they fail. And once they kind of fail, it's very hard for them to reestablish themselves, because the structural systems out there keep them from being able to get back in the game, and it's very hard to get back in the game when people are saying historical Black colleges are not even needed. So it's an uphill battle. So once we return fully, we got to have a sustainability plan that never allows us to get in that position again.
So you talk about a sustainability plan. So like one of the things I remember about Leonard Adams is I remember Quest 35, and then it went to Quest Community Development Company. Then there was a LA Rock. What was LA Rock? LA Rock
Properties.
LA Rock Properties. So like with all that, so as you transition from Quest 35 to Quest Community Development, you also bought a storefront?
Yes.
The strip mall.
Mm-hmm.
So you buy the strip mall and you're redeveloping the strip mall. So like, as you see all this stuff go on and all this stuff happen, do you ever get a chance to reflect and say, I never would have thought, like, you've been doing this for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw I wasn't invited to the 20-year celebration either. I just want to let you know I was a little upset about that. But
COVID restrictions.
I want one of them 20-year shirts too. But so you ever get a chance to reflect back, like where you started from, going to the properties, collecting the rent, to where you are now, like having a staff of people that work for you and look to you for the guidance and direction?
Yeah, on reflection, when you're in it, Jason Redmond, sometimes it is very hard to reflect because you got your nose down, almost kind of the old ostrich with the head in the sand type of mentality. And it's hard to see it because you're working for that perfection and you don't see it all the way in your movement because the need is still so great, but I do look at, I was standing in my new, what we call the Quest West Side Impact Center, which is my new office building, where it was a abandoned strip mall that people were murdered annually at this particular strip mall. And now to see that I've torn that down and reestablished a 3-story office building that houses multiple nonprofits and Family Dollar. I was standing there just by myself and I was reflecting, saying, shucks, this is I didn't envision this in the beginning, but as you start to move, you turn your binoculars a little clearer in the vision, and then you start making things move for your vision. At first, it's just this vision way out there, that light at the end of the tunnel, but you can't see what's on the sides. You don't know what mile marker you're at. You're just kind of like, I can see the light. I'm going that way. But when you really start to hone in on your vision, you say, oh, I know what I'm doing. Oh, it gets much clearer. You start turning them binoculars. You say, oh, it's time for this to meet this need. I know when it's time for that to meet that need. And that's the best part of when you lock in. You're not chasing things. You're being a solution, or you're trying to actually prevent some of these things from happening. So to be able to do the housing, do the services, get into the commercial space, to be able to allow other nonprofits to offer their service in our building did nothing but help Quest, because we couldn't afford to do all of these services internal. So we decided we'll just build a building, an impact center. We'll invite those services that complement us and give them a home. And now we have a much better North Star of impact with multiple people striving to impact those same North Stars.
So those folks that get housing through Quest, they can go to the Impact Center and get services provided.
Yeah, that's correct. And those who are not housed at Quest. This is now, again, Quest was about those that we house. Now it's about community. It's about that neighbor next door just walking up to the Impact Center saying, hey, I want to get into your home buyers program. I want to get my credit rebuilt. I want to get in your substance addiction program, or you know what? This pandemic has caused me to have some bipolar behaviors or some depression, and you can come over and see a case manager or a therapist. So yes, it's a broader community now.
Oh, wow.
So you use the term social entrepreneur. When did it go from just being an entrepreneur to social entrepreneur? Okay. And I also want you to like explain that term, because that's the first time I've heard it. And
so entrepreneur, and then the difference. Social in front of it tells me that, or I'm trying to say to people that, and it's a fairly used term now, that we are either in the nonprofit space or we're in the impact space, right? Mm-hmm. So entrepreneurs usually are in your financials. You have a bottom line. You may hear people say my bottom line, but the bottom line has 3 layers to it. You got your financial bottom line that you're trying to be in the black, right? But then you have your environment, and then your social, meaning your let's say you have a product, this podcast, and say this podcast is about dreams, about impact, change, dreams to reality. You're kind of trying to impact or influence the environment of people making change, because it's another podcast out there that they don't even care about the change in the community. They're just talking about topics that are key to them. Now, the social piece after that is, what is the value of the people that you're trying to impact? Where's the need that you're hitting? So if you were creating on this podcast a children's program that want to get into podcasting, and you're bringing them on your show every other week to give them a footprint to have access to your technology and your stewardship, so on and so forth, then you're trying to say, okay, not only am I want to make money at this, I want to impact my environment, but overall, I want to impact the social piece. And that social piece has a value. And large corporations, sometimes they don't display or reflect how they are impacting the social piece. We're more of a customer base to them. We want to buy their tennis shoes. They may go use rubber from old tires, so they're impacting the environment. But how do they come back and then impact us? Because we impacted them by giving them our money for those shoes. The environment got a better shoe because they built it out of old tires. But hey, company, how do you come back and now support that individual? And that's when they start getting into these foundations. That's why these companies have these foundations, because now they have to give money away because they have to impact the social piece. Because if not, the buyer will supposedly move away from companies that don't turn that circle fully. Michael, hopefully that was a way for me to put it. You can understand that.
Absolutely.
So you've been very busy for the last 20 years with everything that you're doing. Where do we see Mr. Adams in the next 10 years?
Okay, man, Sharice, you have the best questions. I'm not saying that the brothers on the call don't.
No, man, I ain't offended. Man, go ahead, man. Yeah.
There's just real time right now, because honestly, before I was appointed interim president, I was working on a succession plan. You know, I'm 20 years in the nonprofit. I need to figure out, you know, as a founder, sometimes they have a thing called founder syndrome, meaning sometimes the founders stay around so long, forever, and sometimes the organization thrives, but then sometimes the vision is stifled because the founder is 50 years in, and they were the founders, right? So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So I thought I was going to really transition around 10 years from now, where I was going to you build talent or you buy it. You know, you go hire somebody to come in, or you kind of build somebody internally. We were going to build some talent to take over one day. Plus, I hadn't had a child, right? So you know, I'm sitting here kind of like, okay, I gotta look at somebody like it's a family person that I would want to give the keys to, right? So that's where I was, and then I got appointed to interim president. So I'm here to drive change over the next 10 years and be a vessel to revitalization. And then I believe both the Quest and the Knoxville College, I do think I'll probably be exiting these organizations over that period. And then I will be more of a thought leader or a subject matter expert that's out here kind of one hitter quitter. You know, I'm out going in different cities and states and, you know, talking to people around resilient communities or historical Black colleges, all through the lens of revitalization. That's what I'm hopeful for. And just raising my son and pouring this into him, where, you know, 18 years or 23 years later, he can come back and run all of this for me.
Okay.
Young Grayson got a job when he get out of college, huh?
Yeah, he gotta work. He won't get it handed to him, but I'm of the demeanor of I would like I don't say force it on him, but it seemed like our parents or generation after us, they were saying, you know, go and do your own thing. But some of these companies that's been around hundreds and hundreds of years, these companies built into their family fabric that this business is the family business and we're all going to keep this going. And so that's kind of like I want to do. I would be kind of disappointed, honestly, if Grayson grew up and was just like, I don't want to do nothing that dad did. You know, I don't care about none of that stuff. Get out of here, dad. I would have done something wrong. It wouldn't be on him. That means I didn't do something along the way to keep him fired up. Now, there's some things he might need to learn different than me, but I would love for him to own this, and I'm positioning it now so that he's growing up in it.
I think a lot of times, man, children don't always do what you do, but they'll do what they see you do. Like my dad, of course, my dad was a football coach, so he was always big on bringing people out of their situations and either giving them an opportunity. So a lot of times I look at what I do, what my sisters do, what my brother does, and I'm like, it's all about giving people an opportunity. It's not so much about coaching, it's about giving them an opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, man. And if you don't, man, hey, look, I got some people we can put in that position, man. It's no big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll fill the roles. No problem, brother. No problem.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. No problem. So look, man. So I got one last question. So before you were interim president of Knoxville College, you were on the board of trustees. The board of trustees, they meet. They ask the president steps down. They ask you to take over the reins. Like, how do you feel being the president of the school you walked those halls in?
Yeah, I tell you, Jason Revin, that was one of the hardest decisions I've had to make, and the only thing that really attracted me to Knoxville College is that it feels like a startup company to me. It was on its last leg. It was just coming back. So it wasn't like I was going into a company and I had to plug and play with all the people there. We had a president that stepped down and 2 other people, and he took them with him. So it was like, hey, Leonard, Mr. Entrepreneur, here's another business. I just didn't have to think of this business, but I had to create everything around this. But in the beginning, when I was asked, I was like, oh no. This was December. It was short notice. It was 2020, December 2020, he was going to be gone. They were going to appoint somebody January the 4th. My wife was pregnant. I knew the baby was coming in February. I was like, man, no way, Jose, right? Yeah. But then I thought about it after serving 7 years on the board of trustees. I was just kind of like, man, you wake up one day and are you going to be able to live with yourself that you had the opportunity to have the keys to the car? And I mean, you didn't even go crank it up. You didn't even, test that engine one time,
hit the gas and
see what it can do,
Yeah.
And I said, I believe it or not, I talked to my wife and I talked to my mom and some people at work, and they were like, what are you talking about? You better take that. It's your time. They need you. And I'm sitting here kind of like, I don't want to be a college president, particularly at a school, we don't have any students.
Yeah.
They were all distance learners, so it wasn't like any kids was there, no faculty. I'm thinking, what do I want this rusty nickel, Right. So, but when I think about it, that's what I do. I take that rusty nickel, I put some bleach on that mug and start to rub it until I can get it shined up. It might not come back all the way silver, but what I use sometime allegorical kind of phrase of, a shield, a shield, a battle shield. They all shiny and new, but once somebody go to war and they get the little dings in them and the holes in them and the dents, and it bronzes over, that's when that shield is like, yeah, I want that one. I don't want that new one over there, right? So, so you asked that, yeah, it was a very hard decision, and I just looked in the mirror and I said, you got to do it. And believe it or not, as soon as I said that, I had people throwing darts at me day one. As soon as, Leonard Adams this, Leonard Adams that. And I still don't understand that to this day, honestly, Jason Redmond, when I have nothing but a record of, honestly, success, or at least perseverance of showing that, I have the ability of leadership and stick-to-itness and so on and so forth. I mean, I take a business from $30,000 to $86 million, and people want to act like I can't do that, or I don't know how to do that. And so it's very disappointing. It's heartening to see people with your own jersey on kind of throwing rocks at you. But honestly, the universe and God gave me patience that, my skin doesn't ruffle easy. And I realized that, being an older man now, that I've come through life with that skin. I've been tested plenty times, and I've always tried to figure out why did I react like that? And it's just because really I have patience. I'm not into, you call me a name, it's the truth, sticks and stones type. You call me all the names you want. I'm not getting all ruffled about that. But you kind of cross that line, then it's problems in this corner, right? So, long as you're not over here, I'm good. It's hard when the people in your corner, you're like, wait a minute, don't you have on the same jersey? Now I got to look over my shoulder a little bit, right? So, Michael, I haven't mastered that. That's one thing you don't, as an entrepreneur or a CEO, most of the time they love the CEO, right? Like my team, my 40, they love me. And if they don't, they're not going to throw rocks at me that I can find out about them throwing rocks, right? Because they might think I could stop the check, right? But
let's get them out of here, buddy.
Yeah, let's get them out of here type of syndrome. But here, oh my gosh, Michael, Sharice, I step out on the grounds of Knoxville College and this rock's raining at me. I'm like, what happened?
Wow.
But I would be okay. I couldn't say that I do feel support though. I feel value. I do see that the real movers and shakers and influencers are in my corner. It's just the other people that's ain't got nothing else better to do.
Yeah. And the haters, but they used to call back in the day.
Yeah.
The haters. They hate us because they ain't us. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. I'm gonna have to use that. I'm gonna use that. If I can use that, thank you there, Mr. Davis. Hate us because they ain't us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So look, man, new baby.
Yeah. Let me grab that little new baby real quick, if you don't mind.
Hey, where's
Absolutely.
Grace in that, man? Bring him on to the set.
Yeah.
I hope he ain't got on no Michigan outfit. Where let Grayson go?
Gonna watch some football today, Jason?
Man, so I footballed myself out yesterday. I'm not a big pro guy.
Okay. College,
yeah, man. My team. Well, so I'm a Texas fan. So any team in Texas, I root for. Texas Southern played Baylor. Of course, it's a Texas team playing a Texas team. You don't care who wins. But Texas played Arkansas, and I have to say this publicly. I think that the coach, I'm not even gonna call his name. I do not like the coach at Texas this year.
Really?
He said there was a quarterback controversy, and I'm like, yo, I've watched both quarterbacks play, and to me, the quarterback that came into the game late is the quarterback that should have came into the game in the beginning of the second quarter. Give us a chance to win, coach.
Oh wow.
But yeah, man, I don't get it. Is that little Grayson?
Put me in the game, coach.
Put me in the game, coach.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, man.
What's up?
He said, hey, Dad.
This is the first little baby we've had on the show, man.
That's
Look
right.
at him.
Look at him, paying attention. Yeah. He said, hello, everyone. I'm Grayson Linford Adams. I'm 7 months old. And I got a cold. Man. Yep.
I know this season is doing trouble. Like both of my grands are sick right now. So
you hear you talking, you see you smile.
Yeah.
He's a ladies man already. I like little Grayson.
He is adorable.
Well, thank you. So
we
we're
hanging feel out. Better.
Mommy went to the football game with her girlfriends, and Dada and little Grayson at home chilling.
All right, now.
What's up?
Yeah,
with that.
So look, man, we always like to get our guests to give a word of inspiration to our viewers, man. So I steal this line every week, so I'm enjoying it. So man,
it's his line now. It's his line now.
Yeah. Who did it come from?
Michael. So give us a little word of inspiration for the viewers this week, man.
Yes. What was the line that you choose? That you
That was it.
Oh yeah, because that was. I mean, that's the perfect ending.
I guess.
Let me think about that. Some inspiration. Yeah. Okay. Identify. I would say, you know, what I say to young people from time to time, you don't have to really force. You don't have to force kind of what you're going to be in life. You just have to recognize it when that opportunity or that when it comes to you. But you got to have your eyes open, and you got to be on a swivel, because you may not be doing what you're doing, but the opportunities kind of come by, and you have to just got to recognize it. Now, typically, if you're a slow starter, when you get to be in your late 20s, early 30s, I always say around 32, regardless of what job you're on, you're going to start reflecting on life. Because you're not old enough in the 20s to kind of reflect on that. You're just moving and getting money. But around the 30s, let's say you are working somewhere, that's when you're going to start saying, do I need to go back to college to get my master's? Do I need to leave this company because I can't grow this corporate ladder? What do I need to do to make myself? Or do I leave and start my own? This happens. And that's when you become what I call three different phases of entrepreneur. You got the entrepreneur, which is the biggest risk taker, that just says, I'm starting this company, I don't care, I'm putting all my stuff in the bag and I'll deal with it on the back end, what happens. Then you have the investor entrepreneur that kind of keeps his company job, but he kind of uses his money to go get into investments, but he's not really running, just kind of like a landlord, right? Then you have that 9-to-5 entrepreneur. They use their 9-to-5 money to start their business, and they're kind of burning two ends of the candle. They are leaving that 9-to-5 and they're going to this other job company that they've started, and they're having to work there too. Now, a couple of nuggets for that last group. I've seen people do that for years, and 20 years later, they're still doing it. And I only contribute that to because they've never been able to leave the 9-to-5. So the other business can't grow because you're not giving it, you're not feeding it enough of yourself, right? You kind of still on that 9-to-5. And I know it's hard. You got to use that 9-to-5 money. But if you can perfect your product, then you got to have the riskier entrepreneurship bloodline kick in and say, you know what, I got to leave this company and give my all to this company that I say I want to do. And if you don't let go one branch, you're not going to really fully get the other one. So yeah, Michael, you talked about that earlier on. It's just people want to be their own boss. They want their own companies, but you got to understand, it's not, one thing is not for everybody. If everybody were the executors, then we won't have any workforce. They're both just as important. It's the old chief and Indians, right? You got to have some leader. You got had to have somebody to do the work necessary. So that I'll leave you again on the phrase that I use. It may be difficult, but it's possible, versus it's possible, but it's difficult. So the difference in there is that one that says it's difficult, but it's possible will make you go ahead and go down that tunnel. But that one that says it's difficult, it's possible, but it's difficult, you're going to say, oh, it's too hard, it's too rough to go and do that. So I'll leave you guys with that.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, man. Good. I'm about to send my resume to you, man. I can come get a job at Quest, man. Shoot.
Well, we hiring.
Yeah.
You got to come through Grayson first.
Thanks.
Yeah, right. I'm not getting hired. If that's the case, I don't have to look.
I got a job.
Okay. All right. See, I like that. I
got a job.
Are you guys in Carolina as well, or are you on different time zones somewhere?
So Michael's actually in Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
Teresa in Greensboro.
Okay. Well, Seattle is one of those cities that is, well, most cities are dealing with this, but Seattle is that tech hub on the West Coast that is creating another bookend from all of that wealth, is creating that poverty bookend. And now it's stretching the middle sector into low income sector, right? And it's just getting hard out there. And that's what I mean by the triple bottom line, is that these companies gotta realize they're making all of this money. You gotta turn some of that money back around and fix those issues, because your workforce is dealing with this on a daily. I was real quickly, I was in Seattle and we were meeting with Microsoft, and they were telling a story about one of their front aid people drove X amount of miles to come to work every day. But, the leadership was kind of like, why don't you just live, in the city or whatever? And it's like, it's unaffordable to be able to live close to work, live, and play anymore. So they're supposed to be trying to engage community better, and help provide the affordable housing or transportation to get to work. See how he looking? He likes to listen when you talk. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Hey man, that's cool, man. Hey, look, I'll be honest, man. 51-year-old first time dad, dog. I'm enjoying this
That's
here.
Awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, I'm sitting enjoying, like, man. So I'm waiting for him to have to go get his diaper changed in a second, because
yeah, I'm about to go. Hey man, I'm Mr. Diaper Changer. Boy, hey, Michael, you see him? He like that. He like that. Hook me up. I hook it up sweet. I hook it up sweet, and I'm gonna wipe his nose. I'm gonna get the little thing, and we gonna eat.
The little jump.
Get it out his nose. Oh my gosh.
That.
Man, I did the one with the straw. It's kind of like a straw on it. You stick it in your nose, you got to.
Oh God, no.
Oh man, I did that one. I must have didn't read the instructions right.
No, God, yeah.
But I'm like, I could swear I taste some snot up in my mouth. Hey, but he was like that. Go ahead. So, but that's just goes to say, I see why people now do anything for their kids, man. I used to wonder why people come to work sick and from their kids, they're like, oh man, my kid's sick, and they pass it to me. But shoot, man, he's snotty nose right now. He gonna wipe it, put it on my face. He don't care, right? Yeah. But and I'm not gonna say anything about it. I'm just gonna roll my sleeve up and wipe it off and keep it moving.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I thank you guys and ladies for having me. I've been meaning to get on this podcast. We're actually starting the Quest, What's Your Quest podcast. And believe it or not, I wouldn't mind talking with you three about, again, I don't like to recreate the wheel. And if it's a way to partner with some groups, I like to explore those opportunities first. But yeah, we set up a studio in our new building, and then the pandemic said, don't come back to the office. So I mean, we were getting ready to, set up where guests were coming to the studio. Now nice. We're sitting there just collecting dust. And we done bought all this equipment and lighting, backgrounds. I'm like, shucks. But I like this, I'm watching y'all and I'm like, see, they're doing it just off of their phones or laptops, and creating that environment, but it's not a physical kind of building that you're going to. So we should talk about that, Jason, and the team. I'm definitely, it's new for us, but we feel that people have some stuff to say, and we need to allow the community to have that voice.
Okay.
Hey, I'm with it, man. I'm with it. All right, Mike, I'm gonna let you take us out of here, brother, because Little Grayson got to get his nose wiped.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if this is your first time tuning in, please like, subscribe, and continue to follow us on this journey. If you've been rocking with us, please keep on keeping on, because we have a lot more exciting episodes to come. I'd like to thank my two amazing co-hosts, Sharice Lovett and Jason Redmond.
Thank you,
I'd also like to thank Leonard Adams and Lil Grayson for popping on.
Salute.
Thank you, gentlemen. I wish you continued success in all your businesses.
Yes.
And as the interim president of Knoxville College, it's really dope, man. We are Dreams to Reality, a nonprofit organization geared toward uplifting, inspiring, and empowering communities all over the world. I'm your host, Michael Davis. Thank you for joining us. And remember, our goal is not to be better than anybody, but together we can achieve better for everybody. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.